Yeah, sure. Mr. Hansong, nice to meet you. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us today. It's an honor for me and for the institute, for the Galilei Institute of Chongqing. Um, so we discuss, the main characteristic of Chongqing and the beautiful city of Chongqing, and then we discuss also with the help of Francesco and Chiara, the publication that they are printing, they're sharing, and now it's time for asking some questions about your literature, your work. So right now I give the floor to Francesco and Chiara for the interview. And thank you again for being with us. It's a honor, and I hope that one day we can meet in Chongqing and have hot pot together in Chongqing.
Yes. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really, it's an honor, it's a pleasure to have you here. With all the difficulties with connections and pandemics, but science fiction can manage to get people together across the borders, across the problems and difficulties. So I'm really sorry we cannot have this discussion live in some convention, but my invitation to Italy is still standing. I hope you can manage to come to the Pisa Book Festival in November to talk about this new baby, this new work that we managed to publish thanks to Chiara and Lorenzo. I will leave the first questions to Chiara. She really knows a lot about you, your work, your in a way, your thoughts, your philosophy behind the things you write. So, Chiara, please, up to you.
Hello, 新年好. So since we started with this whole discussion is about Chongqing, and since you were born in Chongqing, and you lived and studied there before moving to Wuhan to study at university, I would like to ask if you can tell us about your relationship with this city. So, and if you have, if you had when you were a child or younger, a special place, and if it's still there today, since the city has changed so much that I was wondering.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to be here, and thank you for the publication of my anthology. It's my first anthology published out of China, so thank you very much. And I also hope to one day will come to Italy. I was born in Chongqing, the city. Just talk about it's very cyberpunkish city in China, and the city is a very long history, and in the very ancient time, it's a paradise of dinosaurs. A lot of dinosaurs fossils discovered in this city, and even they built museum. So as a child, and many children, they like to go the museum, and for me, I draw some inspiration to write science fiction. And the city is a mountain city and also a river city surrounded by two rivers and with mountains, and a lot of legends about it. And in ancient time, a Chinese empire come from this city. He was first named the governor of Chongqing, and then he became the empire of China. So he reigned the Chongqing. Before that, Chongqing is not his name. renamed the city Chongqing, which means double happiness, to celebrate first governor and the second emperor. And this city, I think, it was very famous during this 14th century, because in this place, you just talk about, discuss the fishing castle. Fishing castle is it's a real castle. It's a battlefield to resist Mongolian troop. It was in this fishing castle the Chinese army killed the empire of the Mongolia. So because the empire was killed, the whole Mongolian army at that time, most of them are in Europe, so they have to withdraw all the troops from Europe back to the Mongolia area. So Europe survived because of this battle in Fishing Castle, and the city also become famous during the Second World War. It was the capital of China, instant capital. About 4 years it was the capital of China, and it was the headquarters of the Allied forces in Asia. So it can also become famous. And to me, it's why it's so cyberpunkish, because also it's
Oops. Oh, connection. Oh, it dropped. Oh, too bad. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, he's gone.
I
He's not there
think
anymore.
we can just wait for him to come back. It's
Yeah.
It always happens. I mean, we all know
Yeah.
that it's this kind of situation. So I think
Yeah.
it's not a big,
I'm getting
yeah.
him back. Let's see.
yeah. Just
Just a few seconds. He's connecting.
yeah. Sometimes the connection is not good in China these days. Yeah, it always happens while during this webinar. So even in Italy, the connection is not always good. So
maybe if we send him a message to say just audio.
yeah, like maybe try to not choose the video. It can be a good solution.
Yes.
It helps. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, we can try to switch our video as well.
Okay. Yeah, we know about VPN, but yeah, I think he also knows about that.
I don't know, maybe not to steal his limelight, but maybe if people have questions to prepare.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, the problem is Chiara would answer that.
No, I think he's gonna come back soon.
I see him
No, but
trying to join, but sorry.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea. People can just think about question to ask him, so we can make less question, and as soon as he come back.
Yeah, well, yeah, we can try to filling this empty space. Maybe I don't know if you have questions about other. I mean, his work or stuff like that. You can also, we can of course not answer for him, but just try to talk about him. Okay, just that. For example,
has anybody? Sorry to interrupt. Has anybody actually messaged him to suggest turning off his video?
I just did, and he didn't reply yet, but
he possibly hasn't got the message yet.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, I would like to ask you something. If you know, Chiara, about his current works, if he's working on other things, if you know that.
Yeah, he said. I think he came back because I've heard his voice.
Okay.
Connection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
Perfect.
Welcome back.
Good.
Welcome back.
So continue or other topic.
Yeah.
I was born. Yeah, just a few minutes. I was born in Chongqing, and so this city also have characteristic of something like underground. It's underground society. It's under for a long time. It's under the control for gangsters. Just underground society. My grandfather was a member of the underground society, similar to mafia, and a very large one, lot of people. And my brother of my grandmother, but he is the leader of communist party, who is in charge of the underground activities in whole Chongqing. Yeah, so it's very interesting, and the mafia and this revolutionary history. There is a very strange combination of the two in Chongqing. Still, this phenomenon still exists in Chongqing. A lot of very interesting political things happen in the city, and this city also is also a political city. When we're talking about cyberpunk, we do not forget all these elements. And it was the first Chinese city which launched the first freight train linking China and Europe. The train went to Germany, went to Italy, and other cities in Europe. All these elements, put them together, and I think I draw inspiration from all this, and they help for my style of science fiction writing. That is my experience. My whole I spent my childhood and a lot of time in Chongqing. I grew up in there, and then I moved to other cities. Yeah.
Thank you. Chiara? Chiara?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, perfect. Yeah, can I ask another question, or
Yes.
do you want to?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So my next question is about 1991. 1991 is a really important year for you because you won an important literary prize in Taiwan for Thompson of the Universe, Yu Zhou Mu Bei. And at the same time, you started working in Xinhua News Agency. So your career as a writer and as a journalist started this year. So I want to ask how these two elements, in particular, how the journalistic aspect influenced your production, your being a writer, and how your being a writer influenced your being a journalist.
Yeah, first, during that year in 1991, a short story, which name is Universe Tom, won the prize in Taiwan, and before that, my stories were not easy for publication, and I was almost very silent. After that, I gradually become renowned by in the Chinese science fiction circle, and in the same year I began my career as a journalist. And since then I went to a lot of places, both in China and out of China, and I met a lot of people and saw a lot of very strange, very unique things. Some of them are not allowed to be told, or not allowed to be published. So I wrote them into science fiction. So that's make my science fiction. The style is not easy or complex. Changing my writing style.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and this is kind of connected with another question I wanted to ask. And this, in a previous interview, you declared that in your writing, form is a content itself. And this made me think about a statement by Calvino that says, if reality is a labyrinth, the structure must follow it. So I wanted to ask you if your writing is more the result of an attempt to avoid censorship, or is it connected with the attempt to represent a labyrinthic reality?
There's not quite not clear the sound, the voice.
I didn't hear.
You didn't hear the question. Yes.
Yeah,
so the question was connected with your writing. The fact that some people say your writing is obscure. So I wanted to ask if this obscurity is more connected with the censorship, as you just said. But if this is
it's not.
And if it's also related,
it's sometimes it's opacity. Yeah. Yes. I think sometimes it is because of really it's a censorship. So I have to write in a style that many people cannot understand. On the other hand, it's not because of censorship. It is my interest. I do not write things too directly. I think that it's because science fiction also its story is artistic creation, so you cannot to tell it, to describe depicate a thing or subject so directly. You have to use an indirect way to make it like make it feel unfamiliar, and I think that's will make the story more interesting. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Maybe we can ask if I have many other questions, but if someone from the public has some question, maybe we can.
Yeah, sure.
Let them.
Yeah, we have some question. Is there a story in particular that you have written that you associate with Chongqing?
Yes, I actually I wrote a story, particular about Chongqing. It's about actually it's my childhood memory. I wrote it in science fiction. I wrote it happened in ship. The ship started from the port of Chongqing and it went to Wuhan through the Yangtze River. Suddenly things happened on this ship, and the people, the passengers, they all changed, and then at in the end, and all the people disappeared, something like that.
What's the title?
It's a title. It's a title, and I cannot remember.
Okay. It's okay. We have another questions. Literary influences. What science fiction or other literary work have most influenced your own writing?
I mean, science fiction genre in this. Yeah, I like the first science fiction foreign science fiction writer I read was Isaac Asimov. I, Robert. I like that. And then Arthur Clarke also, the same as Liu Cixin say, Arthur Clarke is his idol. To me, it's the same. Arthur. And then after almost 10 years or 20 years passed after that, Philip Dick was translated into China for the first time. Oh, so, that's also very good. So all these writers, they influence me. Most of them Western writers. Yeah, but the elder generation, I think they were more influenced by Soviet science fiction style.
Yeah. Okay. There is a story. There is a question about your book, the Hospital Trilogy, and if there is some relationship with the current pandemic. For instance, the governmental control of public health. You have like foreseen some major situations in the world before, right? Like 9/11. So you probably have also foreseen this pandemic, or is it normal for a science fiction writer to get it right? Among the other wrong things we get wrong.
Yeah, I have written several stories, short stories or novel before the hospital geology.
Mm-hmm.
I forecast this kind of pandemic similar to 2003. It will come back again, and I even forecast a disease can very, very fatal disease can spread in the air, but that was not allowed to be published. It was written 10 years ago, so I changed the country's name. I said it was first happened in Japan, and to almost destroyed all Japan, and the virus then spread worldwide. So the human being almost wiped out by this kind of virus. Even in this hospital geology, I also forecast the disease virus will be the most dangerous things a human being will have to face. But besides virus, actually the greatest enemy is ourselves. If the pandemic spreads, human being, something wrong? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
If the pandemic spreads, a human being will be split. They will not physically, but also mentally, socially, they will spread. I describe that situation in the science fiction.
Yeah, that's exactly what is happening. I'm sorry, I cannot read the Chinese characters. So Nick, I think if you want to make, who are you referring to? Because yeah, okay.
Yes. It's just Han Laoxian, 你好. Speaking of flying cars, I wanted to ask if you read Ye Yonlie when you were younger. I know he recently passed away.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Chinese science fiction writers, a lot of them also influenced me a lot. Of course, Ye Yonlie, who died last month. He is maybe among the most prominent writers. Yeah, he one of his most famous novels is about a child who go to the future through time travel, maybe a time travel machine, and see what happened in the future world. That's a very exciting story, and I think this story helped create my imagination. So I think, there is a so exciting future, so why not to write about it by myself at that time? So I began to write. Yeah,
good.
really,
I have a question about what you're currently working on, your next project, if you're writing anything at the moment.
Oh, what I am writing now. Something relating to Italy.
Oh, wow, good. Good.
That's, I just received the books today. I just bought History of Roma.
Oh, good.
Can you see? History of Roma.
Then if you come to Rome, I will show you around to eat, to boost your inspiration.
Absent. Perhaps, and also this
Okay.
English writer about the rise and dying of Roma Empire. I'm writing a book about that the ancient time, in the ancient time, and Chinese Empire, Qin Empire, and Han Empire. And at that time, Roma was a very big empire. The two, if they met,
Okay,
oh,
good. Okay,
yeah,
the two empires. Yes. Cool.
Because I think that actually China was influenced greatly by Italy. A lot of very famous names they brought a lot of things to China. The Marco Polo and the
Matteo Ricci.
Matteo Ricci, yes.
Yes.
There's a Marco Polo bridge still in Beijing, and the tomb of Matteo Ricci.
Yeah.
The tomb still in the downtown Beijing. Next time I show you. Yeah. And also Galileo
Galilei, yes.
Galileo Galilei.
Yes.
The telescope.
Yes.
Yeah. Which brought the telescope to China. The first empire used this telescope during the late 15th century to look at the sky.
Yep.
Oh, what was in the sky? At that moment, the dynasty, in the court of the dynasty, 450 the court officials, they changed their belief. They become Catholics. So at that time, and they turn to believe in Western science and technology. But unfortunately, this empire and the emperor, they were overthrown by uprising of peasants. So the history stopped. This is Galileo and of course Leonardo da Vinci.
Yes.
Yeah. Renaissance.
Yep. Renaissance. Okay. We have a couple of minutes left. Unfortunately, time goes so fast, and I will keep it open. That means that if they shut us down, I want to thank everybody, Fabiana, Marco, Chiara, and of course our guest, Hansong, for the time. And I wish we had more time. If they don't Zoom, just let us open, let us continue. We continue. Otherwise, I really enjoyed spending time with you, especially in this troubled moment that we are all living through. Let's see how it goes. I will open up questions, but it might be very hard to be shut down like that. But if you want to say something.
I just would like to thank you everyone for being with us all this journey in the Chinese science fiction. And I really personally would like to thank Mr. Hansong. We really hope to see you in Pisa in November at Pisa Book Festival. hopefully, and then maybe in Rome all together. And so, thank you, Chiara, for your
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you, Chiara.
And all of
Thank you all for organizing this. It's a pleasure to take part of this.
Read more science fiction and read more Chinese science fiction.
Yeah.
Thank you for.
Let's see if I don't know if there is a problem here. Okay, let's wait. Here it says one